Want to know what a real man would tell their lady about love and life? You're in the right place. This is Hello Ladies with Rom Wills. Rom Wills is an author, speaker, and proud father. Grab some wine, sit back, and enjoy.
Hello, ladies. Welcome to my spot. Healing from a toxic relationship. Let me make sure I'm looking, I got my stuff right. Anyway, yeah, I just want to start off with a little bit of laugh, but this is a more serious discussion because one of the things I found with a lot of women, and not just any women, not just some 304 or the so-called modern woman and all of that, but legitimately good women. Because one of the things I found out here, you have plenty of legitimately good women, but they get caught up with some legitimately toxic men. And, you know, I know some guys would hear that and they say, yeah, they just want those bad boys and stuff. But honestly, in the situations I've seen, the guys didn't start off bad. They ain't start off bad. Most women are going to reject that type of guy. And ladies, I understand that. And you know, and some ladies might want the challenge. There's so many things. Whatever the case, is toxic. So you've been through it. You might have been dogged out. You might have been cheated on. You might have been abused emotionally, even physically abused. Shoot, I know of a situation, you know, this dude was stealing money from a woman. All right, whatever the case, it wasn't healthy. Let's get past that. You, one way or the other, you got out of the relationship. All right, you got to heal from it. Ladies, here's the thing. First of all, don't hate yourself for getting in a relationship. Don't hate yourself. Because like I said, usually when women get caught up with bad guys, the bad guy didn't start off that way in most cases. In most cases. Now, if you got into it and you knew he was a bad guy, but you thought you was going to change him, yeah, you got to take some responsibility for that. And that's all I got to say. But even then, it still hurts. But for the most women who didn't know he was that way or didn't see it, they might have been naive. You get a lot of women out here who are actually naive to the game. They actually naive. They grew up in a good environment. Parents were there, everything, and really kept them out of a lot of stuff. And those are the main ones who get caught up. Those are the main ones who get caught up. But whatever the case, you still got to heal from it. So, you know, first of all, don't you take responsibility for stuff. You take responsibility, but don't act like, oh, wow, I'm so terrible. Don't get down on yourself. You just made a mistake. And actually, you're brave if you actually just got out of it, found a way out of it. But it's still tough. You feeling that guy, you thinking about all the good stuff that happened. You thinking about the good stuff that happened. And incidentally, one of the things you should do is, yeah, you can remember the good stuff, but make sure you write down the bad stuff or remember the bad stuff. Because what happened a lot of times, a woman to get out of a toxic relationship, and then after a while, she'll start forgetting all the bad stuff. She'll focus on the good stuff. And then the guy come back in, all of a sudden, you back at it. Then all of a sudden you remember the bad stuff again. So remember, yeah, you can remember the good stuff that happened, but definitely remember the bad stuff. Remember why you left to begin with. It's like I told a woman one time, you know, she was saying this guy was doing this and that, and then she started talking about all the good stuff he did, smiling and all that. I was like, don't forget the bad stuff because you left him. If he was so good, why did you leave? I had an ex who did that. She would always be bringing up the other guy's name, and I said, if he was so good, why'd y'all break up? She stopped bringing up his name. You know, so that's one of the things. Two, you really want to take it one day at a time. You need to go through that feeling of grief. You need to cry it out. There's no shame in that, ladies. There's no shame in that. You know, yeah, first you acknowledge, you know, don't blame yourself, but then acknowledge what you did. But then just let the fever burn out. Any healing can be painful. You know, any healing. It's like if somebody got an infection and they get real hot, they feeling real bad. It's just burning it out. You got to let that happen. And then you got to learn from the thing. You got to learn from it. You know, while you going through all that grief, just think about, okay, how you get there to begin with. What did you ignore during the relationships? What did you do when he was putting you down or doing something toxic? You got to learn from it. You don't want to, that's why I say you don't want to forget the stuff. You got to learn from it. You got to say, okay, I know what to look for next time. I know what not to do. I know what I need to do. And then, you know, and these are just general, because it can be tough. I know someone going through something right this second, and it's tough. And I pretty much have to encourage her virtually every day. I have to call in and encourage her every day. But focus on the future. Okay, you went through it. You got out of it. You know, you learned something. Focus on the future. One of the things you don't want to do is think all men are like that. It's like I told a woman, she was complaining about all these guys being dusty. And I said, well, the only thing they had in common was you. But you got to learn. And let me get into that. I had another thing to that in a second. But you got to learn from it, you know, and this is the extra thing. You know, you can't just think, okay, this guy was toxic, and, you know, you got some women gone through several guys. The only thing these guys had in common was you. That's when you got to look within yourself, ultimately. In the last episode, I talked about a woman's choices. Y'all choose. You got to ask yourself, is it all men? Because some women say, all men are this or that. Have you met all men? Even if you get like a group of 20 girlfriends and y'all had the same experiences. Okay, if you count every single man that every single one of you encountered, it still wouldn't be all men. You got 4 billion men in the world. 4 billion. You know, so has it been every single man? You know, is every single man that way? Or are you choosing a toxic man? So you got to look within yourself to say, well, what is it within me that's choosing these men? Like, I remember I learned that lesson from a friend of mine, a woman I could have got with back in the day, but yeah, it didn't really, circumstances didn't work out, but she was real cool. We were talking. She told me about this guy who had kind of dogged her out. And I mean, I never forget what she said. She said she got to look within to see why she even fell for him. She didn't blame the guy. She said, why did she fall for him? You got to look within yourself. What is it about you that even drew that toxic man? What is it about you that even liked that toxic man? Because even in situations where he's hiding his true intentions, well, ladies, y'all still got intuition. Y'all still got a feeling. You probably saw something and chose to ignore it. You got to ask yourself, why'd you ignore the signs? You got to ask yourself, what is it about you that even draws that type of man? And no, all women don't draw those type of men. There's some women, I personally know some women, every single man that they've talked about has been good. And usually if they even broke up, it was usually a peaceful breakup. Because sometimes relationships break up just because the two parties, they just, you know, they were just going in different directions. There's a lot, I mean, seriously, it's kept quiet, but all breakups aren't evil or anything like that. Sometimes one party might have to move away, you know, or they might just have come to a logical conclusion that they're not going in the same direction. It happens. It happens. But if you constantly, you know, and you got some women like that, but if you constantly having a bad situation, okay, what is it about you? Are you repeating stuff? Even if you got to get therapy. And I recommend that if it really gets deep. Even if you got to get therapy and talk it out, or at least talk it out with somebody, and then acknowledge it. Say, okay, I keep drawing these dusties. This is what's in me to draw this type of person and get in this type of situation. Because that's what you have 100% control over. All right. And ladies, that's basic. That's basic. And that's advice. Let me be clear. That's not medical advice. If you got to go deeper, have no fear in getting a therapist. And I know a lot of women do, but definitely you're hearing it from me. Get a therapist. Get therapy. Help you through it, or a spiritual leader, or somebody who can truly help you through it, a professional that can help you through it. But you can heal. But you got to take some steps. You got to look at everything. You got to ask yourself why you were even attracted to that person, because that's a deeper issue. It could be something, I don't know, it could be a daddy issue, it could be an imprint issue, whatever. You got to question it. Then you can fix it. And then just take your healing one day at a time, ladies. There's no shame in feeling grief and crying and the different emotions. There's no shame in it, but just learn from it. And you will heal from it. You will heal. All right? So anyway, that's all I have for today. Get back with y'all later. Peace and blessings.